All right, so we're ready to roll into another deep dive. Today we're talking about the future. Well, specifically the future of mobility.
Ain't go up.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got this new report from Amadeus. It just came out. It's their 2024 report. And get this. They surveyed 600 travelers from all over the world, all about how we're all going to be getting around in the future.
Fascinating stuff.
I know, right? And like you think, okay, future of travel, flying cars, right?
Right, that's what you think of.
But no flying cars in the top 10. What they did find, though, is seriously interesting.
It seems like we really are like on the edge of a revolution in transportation, but maybe not the one we see in, like sci-fi movies.
Right.
This report digs deep into how people actually choose to travel, like the whole push and pull between like cost, convenience, and what it means for the planet.
Yeah, the impact, right.
It's not just about the cars or planes or trains themselves. It's about like the bigger picture, all the forces that shape like how we move.
Absolutely, yeah. And, reading through this report, there are some real head scratchers in here. Like, for example, a lot of travelers, they say they want to travel sustainably.
Right, yeah.
But then when it comes down to actually booking that trip, putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak, their actions don't really line up.
Well, the report, they actually call this the green dilemma.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so like 38% of those travelers surveyed, they actually go out and look for eco-friendly travel options.
Yeah.
But the cost and just how, easy it is to book those options, those are huge roadblocks. Like think about it. If it's way more expensive to do the right thing or it's just a huge pain to actually, book it, are most people really going to choose it?
That's a great point.
And this kind of points to a much bigger problem, like how do we make sustainable travel easy and affordable for everyone? We're talking big systemic changes here. Infrastructure, technology, the whole 9 yards.
So it's not enough just for people to want to be eco-conscious. The whole system has to support it.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some of the nitty-gritty here. Break down what this report actually says are the top influencers on how people choose to travel. No surprise here. Cost is king.
Of course, yeah.
52% said that's their top factor.
Yeah.
But right behind it, neck and neck, is convenience. 47%. It's like we all want to get there quickly, we want it to be affordable, but we also don't want to deal with a bunch of hassle.
Absolutely, yeah. Minimal fuss.
Exactly. Which makes it even more surprising that environmental impact, like how eco-friendly is this option, it barely even registered.
Yeah, 1%. Just 1%.
1%. And even that was like mostly concentrated in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. The Americas, they had the highest percentage of people who just straight up said eco-friendly just isn't a priority for them when they travel.
It does make you wonder, like, what's driving those regional differences, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Is it the infrastructure that's already in place, cultural norms, maybe government policies are playing a role? There's a whole research project in that alone, probably.
Oh, a deep dive spin-off series, maybe?
Maybe.
Okay, moving on from potential government conspiracies, let's talk about something a bit more well-shared, peer-to-peer transportation. Your ride-sharing, car-sharing, all that jazz. Over half of the people they surveyed are open to using these kinds of services.
It's significant.
Huge, right, which could really shake things up for traditional rental companies.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the sharing economy in action. It's like, why own a car when you can just access one whenever you actually need it? And we're seeing those regional differences pop up again, like Europe, the Middle East, Africa. They're leading the charge, 60% likely to use these peer-to-peer services.
Wow.
Asia Pacific, they're, kind of warming up to the idea. But the Americas, more hesitant? Is it a trust thing? Maybe it's just habit. It's really interesting to see how those attitudes vary.
Yeah, maybe folks in the Americas just really love their cars. Okay, listeners, buckle up, because now we're going into territory that US sees to be pure sci-fi. Autonomous vehicles. Self-driving cars. How cool is that? But the report shows people are still pretty on the fence about this.
I mean, yeah, there's the cool factor, but then there's also the can I trust this thing with my life factor.
Exactly.
So only 10% of people said they're totally comfortable with the idea. 28% are a little iffy about it, somewhat uncomfortable. And then a whole 18% flat out, no way, not getting in that thing.
Understandable.
Yeah, and to be fair, there are some big questions that still need to be answered, right? Like, how reliable is this technology really? What happens if there's an accident? And the whole ethics of how a self-driving car makes decisions.
Yeah, like who's at fault if something goes wrong.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a whole philosophical rabbit hole we could go down.
Definitely.
Makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were offered a ride in a fully autonomous car, what would make you say yes? What would make you say absolutely not? What are your deal breakers? Let us know.
Yeah. Join the conversation.
I think for me, it's going to take a long, long track record of safety before I'm fully ready to, like, hand over the wheel, you know?
Makes sense.
Speaking of handing things over, how about handing over your whole travel planning process to a single app?
Ooh, interesting.
Right, like the kind of app that books your flights, reserves your rental car, hails your rideshare, all that, all in one place. And the report says, get this, 66% of travelers said this would be, like, incredibly useful to them.
Sign me up.
Right, it's like peak convenience, no more juggling a million different apps and websites. But,
There's always a buck, right?
right, there's got to be a catch. Is this even possible?
That's the million-dollar question. Integrating that many different services seamlessly, guaranteeing people's privacy. It's a huge undertaking. And it's not just about the technology itself. It's about like all those data sharing agreements, the security protocols. What if there's like a single point of failure and the whole thing crashes?
Oh, okay, that is a lot to think about. But hey, if we can land robots on ours, surely we can figure out a super travel app.
You'd think so, right?
You would think so.
Mhm.
Speaking of travel hiccups, this report touches on something I think we all experience. Last mile anxiety.
Yeah.
That feeling of, okay, I've made it to my destination, but now what?
Yeah, how do you actually get from the airport to your hotel, especially if you're in a totally new place?
Right, especially if it's like late at night, you're jet lagged, you don't speak the language.
Exactly. It can be really stressful. And the report found that 36% of travelers said they feel anxious about this last mile, while a similar number said they feel confident. It seems to come down to like how much control you have over that final leg of the journey.
Absolutely. I remember this one time I landed in this new city. It was late, I was exhausted, totally jet lagged, and I could not figure out the local bus system.
Oh no.
It was not fun. Let me tell you, I would have paid anything for a smooth prearranged transfer at that point.
I can imagine. And that's probably why those prearranged transfers are becoming more and more popular, right? It's all about peace of mind. Knowing that someone's there waiting for you, they know where they're going, they can navigate all the chaos for you. But what I think is even more interesting is this whole concept of car subscriptions versus ownership.
Oh, yeah. Like the Netflix for cars model. Could you see yourself doing that? Paying a monthly fee to access a car instead of actually owning one?
It's definitely a trend to watch, especially I think for younger generations. The appeal is that flexibility, right?
Yeah.
No long-term commitment. You can swap cars depending on what you need.
Yeah.
No more dealing with maintenance.
Right, like no oil changes, no surprise repairs.
Exactly. But the survey results show that people are still kind of on the fence about it. 41% said they think it's appealing, but 59%? Not so much. I think it really comes down to your own individual usage patterns and whether those cost savings outweigh the benefits of just owning your own car.
Yeah, it really comes down to like what's important to people, what they value, you know? And what's interesting is the survey actually found that 77% of people still see themselves owning a car in the next 5 years.
Wow. That's way more than I would guessed. I guess the romance of the open road, it's not dead yet.
Not dead yet.
But even if people are holding onto their cars for now, they're still open to new ways of getting around, right? Like new options. And the report, it actually dug into like what would make someone switch from one transportation provider to another. And guess what?
What's that?
Better prices, more convenient locations,
Yeah.
positive reviews. It's the basics, really. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, we're all creatures of habit, right? And we all love convenience. But speaking of convenience, let's talk about something that could really like simplify the whole travel experience. Integrated booking.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so picture this. You're booking a hotel room, right? And right there in the same process, you can reserve your rental car, add on travel protection, everything you need, all in one place.
That would be amazing.
Right. And the report actually says that 65% of people believe that this would like make them more satisfied with their travel experience overall.
I mean, honestly, who wouldn't want a more streamlined, less stressful booking process?
Right. Nobody wants to be like jumping between a million different websites and apps.
Exactly. It just plays into that human need for like ease and simplicity, especially when it comes to travel, which can already be, kind of stressful and full of uncertainty.
Absolutely. Taking those friction points out can really like change the whole travel journey for the better.
Totally. Speaking of friction points, let's go back to that last mile anxiety for a sec. That feeling of, okay, I've landed, but now how do I actually get from the airport to my hotel? especially in a new city.
Yeah, that can be a real pain point for people.
It can be.
And the report, they really emphasize like prearranged transfers as a way to, calm those nerves, ease those worries. Imagine you step off the plane, you're probably tired, maybe a little overwhelmed, especially if it's a new place, and bam, there's someone there waiting for you.
With a sign and your name on it.
Exactly. Ready to whisk you away to your hotel. No stress, no confusion.
It's like trading a little bit of money for a whole lot of peace of mind.
Exactly. And, it's like having a personal guide through this often very confusing world of airport transportation.
Yeah, yeah. I can see the appeal. But the report, it didn't stop there. They also explored these subscription-based models for transportation, which, we see popping up more and more these days.
Hmm. Oh, right. Yeah. Like the idea of you subscribe to a service that gives you access to like whole fleet of vehicles. So you can choose the car that fits your needs at any given time. Need a compact car for zipping around the city. Done. Need an SUV for a family road trip. You got it.
So it's not just about replacing car ownership. It's about having, options, flexibility.
Exactly. And potentially saving money in the process.
Potentially. But the report also found that a good chunk of people, they're still hesitant about this whole car subscription thing. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's a certain comfort that comes with owning a car, right? It's yours. You know it. You're in control. Subscribing to a service can feel like giving up some of that control. Plus, there's the cost factor. For some people, it just might not make sense financially, especially if they don't use a car very often. But for others, that flexibility and convenience of a subscription, it might be worth it.
It's about finding that balance, right? What works for your individual needs and lifestyle. Which brings us to an even bigger question. What does the future of mobility actually look like?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Hmm.
But I think based on everything we've seen in this Amadeus report, it's pretty clear that those lines between different modes of transportation, they're getting blurrier and blurrier. We're moving away from that world where you owned a car and maybe occasionally took a plane or a train. Now it's all about shared mobility, on-demand services, and this growing desire for like seamless, integrated travel experiences.
So it's like the whole transportation ecosystem, it's evolving, right? It's becoming more interconnected, more personalized, and hopefully more sustainable.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And technology, it's playing a huge role in all of this. But technology alone, it's not enough.
Oh, absolutely not.
We have to be mindful of the human element, right? Like, how do we create transportation systems that are, yes, efficient and innovative, but also accessible and equitable and enjoyable for everyone?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's not just about getting from point A to point B.
It's about the experience, right? Exactly. It's about
Yeah.
connecting people to places, creating a world where travel is a source of joy and wonder, not just stress and frustration.
Absolutely. And that's where I think we need to shift our focus as we think about the future of mobility. How do we design solutions that prioritize human well-being, environmental sustainability, social equity? How do we make getting around not just efficient, but also delightful?
Those are the questions that are really going to shape the future.
And those are questions we want you, the listener, to really think about, because as much as we can, analyze trends and look at all this data, at the end of the day, the future of how we all get around, it really comes down to the choices each of us make every single day.
That's right. It's in our hands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, think about it. Will you be an early adopter? Are you going to jump on that latest ride-sharing app? Test out a car subscription? Or are you more comfortable sticking with what, maybe slowly transitioning to an electric vehicle when the time is right?
Maybe you'll even become a vocal advocate for better public transportation.
Yeah. Pushing for more investment in solutions that are sustainable and equitable.
Right.
Because it's fascinating to think about how those individual choices, they can actually ripple outward and influence the entire industry.
It's like a butterfly effect almost.
Exactly. Yeah. And what's clear from this Amadeus report is that there's no magic bullet. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. The future of mobility, it's not going to be a single vehicle or a single app.
It's going to be a mix of everything.
It's going to be a whole ecosystem, all these different modes of transportation coexisting, working together.
So imagine a world where you seamlessly go from an autonomous shuttle to an electric bike to a high-speed train, all managed through one app.
Yeah.
Your personalized travel companion.
Exactly.
And imagine if that system, it was designed to be accessible to everyone.
Right. Affordable, so everyone can be a part of this mobility revolution.
A future worth fighting for.
It is.
And while we don't have all the answers right now, these conversations we're having, the choices we're making, the technologies we're developing, it's all building towards that future.
Absolutely.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the future of mobility, we want to leave you with this thought: stay curious, stay engaged, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo. Because the future of how we move, it's not set in stone. We're all creating it together, one ride at a time.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the future of travel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more insights and updates. Visit Tourism, Capturing the Scene of Knowledge, a comprehensive website delivering the latest travel trends and innovations. Accelerate your mastery of the tourism industry, all in one place. Navigate through a vast showcase of comprehensive business-oriented tourism content, 99% pure industry intelligence, and 1% academic, curated for discerning professionals. Why subscribe to Tourism? Capturing the Scene of Knowledge. Make informed decisions. Instantly access key reports and insights from top sources across the tourism industry. No research required. All in one place. Why split your attention? A single subscription gives you easy access to thousands of reports, videos, and infographics just as effortlessly as watching a 30-second ad. Save time with curated searches. Time is money. Let our subscription save you both by delivering valuable insights directly without the endless search. Until next time, happy travels.